is a very popular panel. I'd like to introduce Tanika Dale. She's an investor here in this case in Silicon Valley. Could my investors come up to the front?
Well, thank you, Brad. It was great to hear some very touching personal stories, as well as some forward-thinking ideas around the keep it organized. So I'm here with two colleagues, and we're hoping to spend some time telling you a bit about our backgrounds, our perspective on precision diagnostics at the hair, some trends that we're seeing in cancer investing, as well as trends that we aren't seeing. So to start us off, uh, my name is Maldra Dale, and I have a background in cellular and molecular biology. And I met Roger through the Italian government, and then curious to learn more about my panelists, Angela and Suya.
I would like to start by thanking our organizers and Corinne as well, my fellow panelists, and to you as well for coming. I'm Dr. Angela Jimenez. I'm a primary care physician. I have been 2 times founder. I also have a background in as a clinical study or a site committee member for the National Institutes of Health. I currently invest in companies at the intersection between health and technology. Invite some cybersecurity hearing.
Hi, everybody. Thank you for having me. This is an honor to speak here. I really looking forward to discuss what we are thinking about and what we want to share. My name is Soyoung Park. I'm a general partner of One South Pro Venture Partners. We are a small fund, global fund, to invest in transformative technology to support healthy aging. So I'm actually going to go to the longevity technologies as well as diagnostics, preventative diagnostic therapies and therapeutics. And also, I am looking for the synchronization between the traditional healthcare as well as the digital technologies, including AI, robotics, and quantum computing. I'm looking forward to discuss today.
It would be great to hear from both of you how you would define precision diagnostics versus preventative diagnostics, especially when you look at the current companies that are on the market.
Sure. I think both are necessary to improve patient outcomes. But I think probably the main difference between precision and preventative is that preventative is more focused on predicting what's going to happen to a patient regarding an harmful, and precision is more like to adapt even a treatment for that patient.
Yeah, I'm totally agree with you. Definitely, there's some diagnostics we need to go to find out what can be more accurate to the right person. Some people probably don't have the high sensitivity, some many now. But I'm more going towards than diagnostic for precision treatment. So as Amaro said, what we struggling is everybody is different, so we react differently to the drug we have. And most of the time, doctors spend time to try this drug and that drug and then find a cartel. It took so much time, and it actually gonna raise the body too much. So of course, everything's just from diagnostic screening, diagnostics, and also we want to find the precision treatment. How can we actually try to minimize all the adverse effects, but also maximize our efficiency?
Can you speak a bit about how developing digital twins or pulling from electronic health record data sets can inform some of these technologies and a company that you would like to invest in?
Yeah, so I have multiple companies. Actually, was this idea is one company actually came from Argentina. They are in New York, but they bought the phone technology. What they really do is they have a basically same thing like organoid. I met them 5 years ago, and what they try to do is using your cell and tissue, they find out something like a test kit, and then try all the potential drugs, drugs and the potential cocktails using their AI technology. They try to find the right cocktail, and also maybe even maybe future we can find a more advanced drop specific for you. So that's the kind of goal, and I see more activities nowadays. I also see one company from Canada. They are got correlated with Saudi Arabia, and they also brought same concept, but in their case, Basilieri more advanced in the approach is different. But I actually see this kind of digital twins can be the solution, because now transformation now allowed using the organoid instead of animal test. And I don't say the animal test will be definitely need in vivo instead of in vitro, but still I see there's a lot of acceptance in this kind of organoid testing, and I think this is actually a starting point. We can find a better, I could develop the drugs for the future.
Yes, regarding synthetic data that you collect that is being used to create digital twins, I think it's an important part of how currently startups are dealing with research on robotics. Especially, we are seeing that for certain answers for certain chronic diseases or for rare diseases, it's really difficult to engage individuals to participate in those clinical trials. So I think synthetic data probably is the next frontier regarding how to do an adequate research and development, especially for certain parts.
When we're thinking about the next frontier, can you tell me how social determinants of health databases can support or hinder that development?
Sure. So, as we previously discussed, I think cancer is not only genetics or metabolomics or coherence. It is also where you live, where you grow, and where you work for. And that is the social determinants scale. Those factors influence the development answer and sometimes the outcomes of cancer as well. So I think it's really important to have a multi-omics database that combines not only the omics side of face, but also the social determinants of health to have a more holistic view of how a patient can be helped and how can we tailor interventions to have a more precise intervention of that patient.
So Young, I see you nodding. Again, you talked a lot about using organoids to tailor a precise intervention for a patient. And of course, organoids were mentioned in the panel previous, so we can really see their applications across both diagnostics as well as in the eyes of the investor. Could you tell me a little bit about how you see multi-omics approach and social determinants of health working together to inform the model you use with the organoid?
I actually totally agree with that, John. Basically, gene is not everything. We actually think gene mutation actually affects your cancer about 7 to 10%. What is the other 90%? After being just a lot of effect. What I usually, the analogy I usually use is when you have not too much stress, it can be environmental, it can be air pollution, it can be your your boss in work. When you have some stress, your inflammation goes up. And then when you are young or when you're healthy, your immunology can actually handle this inflammation. So when this inflammation is handled, you can maintain your health. But at some point, with all these kind of different environmental or habits, with your diet and whatever you are mentally frustrated, your body significantly increase the inflammation. And at some point, if your immune system goes down, then it cannot kind of help to control immune system. So that's the time you can see that chronic disease, and also cancer. So when I actually see that all kind of new frontier technologies, we definitely want to treat immunology approaches, but also we want to see your data, can see how you actually react your other kind of approach. I want what I want to actually bring it is a cytokine approach. So we are talking about on combining two anti-inflammatory cytokine. Cytokine is high toxic. How can we actually handle it? That's the biggest problem. So far, we weren't very successful on that. But we are talking about how we can actually combine this with controlling cytokine, so we can actually control, measure your own body, how you react to this cytokine platform. And then we can actually provide the best dosage and best treatment for yourself. So that's the kind of one I'm actually see very frontier. And also we will get a lot of data. We are clinical. We cannot live without data. With all this data, what do we do? So far, it was all blocked because it's personal information. You cannot kind of release it. It's all silo if everything is spread. But now we know the value of the data, and we want to find out what kind of pattern we can find and how we can actually apply it in the the drug. Can be IV, can be oral, can be patch. What kind of delivery method do we want to use? So those kind of all in multiple verticals of our drug development as well as diagnostics, we definitely want to see what is the best system, best structure we can build for that person. But again, we need to find a pattern. We need to kind of have the majority of people who can be applied, and then we can go to personalized medicine.
Thank you. It's helpful to hear you talk about the cytokine trends in investing, as well as the importance of clinical data before making an investing decision. Angela, it'd be great to hear your take on trends that you're seeing in cancer investing, and then we'll segue to Lou's introduction of both the herself and the fund.
Great. I want you to raise your hand if you know someone with cancer or any other chronic disease. Amazing. Look around. How many of you are entrepreneurs? Hello? How many of you are healthcare workers? Amazing. We see now to answer your question, okay. More good than trends is what benefits. And I think all the information you just gave me, we can agree that we need more initiatives and interventions that are focused on the benefit on the population and not only the clients. Having said that, I think it is important to highlight what the longevity field is doing to meet patients. Why? Age is a risk factor for almost every cancer. So it makes sense to invest in companies that are dealing with research and development of longevity pathways and mechanisms to identify novel targets that allow us to have a more customized, personalized interventions for patients and for clinics.
Thank you. It was helpful to hear about how cancer and longevity can work together to care for the patient, as well as the impact of immunotherapies. Lou, it'd be lovely to hear a bit about you as well as the fund.
Yeah, first, sorry for being late. I'm a Stanford alumni. I used to drive around the campus. So I know the space so well. I know where to park at. The ship is taking less simply hard to find a parking today. So I'm Lou. I'm the founder and managing partner of Fusion Fund. We're down in our office is just in downtown Palo Alto. So we have a strong collaboration with Stanford for lots of the tech and the healthcare company. I started Fusion Fund about 10 years ago. So this year is actually our 10-year anniversary. We invest across the United States, focus on enterprise AI, healthcare, and industrial automation. And before I started Fusion Fund to become a so-called dark side investor, I was an entrepreneur. I built and sold my own medical device company to Boston and Tempe before I went to the dark side. I really want to leverage capital to support more founders working on the hardest problem, and healthcare is one of the hardest problem. So I think your second part of the question is the trend, right? Yeah. So back in 2017, I published a report in JP Morgan Health Conferences, AI in Healthcare. So you can see how early we were passionate and also have strong conviction that AI can play an important role in hosting, specific for cancer. We all know the future of a cancer therapy is really just personalization. It's not only just a personalized therapeutic solution, but also going back to what you mentioned earlier about longevity, about the quality of life, how to do early stage personalized diagnostic and how to together with a personalized treatment plan and go from there that would be able to identify the problem early on and go from there. And also recently we're seeing more engagement and also deeply embedded AI analytics, cancer and also healthcare application in general. Recently I just invested a company to a vertical model for cell therapy. which is really impressive. They're a partnership with a pharma company already. We also just invest a company. It's actually a spin-off of Arc Institute. And they have this launch of eVoter. It's a vertical model for sequencing data. And they spin off the company. We actually invest in their early lab and put it to a commercialization pathway. And sequencing data could be a major contributor to the therapeutic solution for cancer. So that's some of the interesting trends we're seeing in the market right now, but more is coming.
It would also be great to hear about trends that you are not seeing and that instead you're hunting for. Can you tell me about a couple topics that you're looking for really interesting startups with really interesting clinical data?
Yeah, so I think you mentioned a little bit, I catch the second part of your answer. I really agree it's about the data saddle issue. That, we talk about healthcare as an industry with a huge amount of high quality data. And also people didn't know 30% of the data we have in Human Society actually are healthcare related. And only 5% of it we're leveraging for, application right now. So it's very, very, very little being used, but we have so much like a golden mine. We're not leveraging it. But why? Because we have the data isolation issue. Hospital here are not sharing the data with the upper side. Another thing is data curation. Even we said healthcare data is high quality, there's still noise. I always talk about, I'm a material science background. We talk about the term called the signal noise ratio. Now, unfortunately, the signal noise ratio is very low. So how we really have the technology cure the data into a high quality data library and applied AI build application on top of it is specific for healthcare. So I think that's something I really want to see more. In terms of data isolation issue, we're already seeing some interesting company doing federated learning. Using federated learning be able to partially solve the issue. It's not a 100% solution yet, so we're also hoping to identify more companies doing that. Another thing is, of course, I know I talk a lot on the AI side, but I really want to see more like small edge AI model be able to run on the local devices. We're doing healthcare industry. You won't be able to upload everything to the cloud. You don't want to upload everything to cloud for the compliance and data privacy issue. So if we, instead of using larger portion, have the small vertical edge model, have AI run on the edge medical devices that have already on the local sensors. I think that would be more practical for us, for the hospital system to accept this new technology.
Angela, I see you nodding your head.
Yes, I agree with you 100%. I also would like to see anything regarding inflammation as a risk factor for cancer. Why? Because we are seeing that things that we were not associating before with cancer, now they are. And with the development of GLP-1s, now we can prove that actually inflammation is associated with not only chronic diseases, but also cancer. So what you just mentioned is really important. We need medical devices or software is a medical device that trapped or identify or can do surveillance of many biomarkers of inflammation that may predict outcomes for patients, especially those patients who are at risk of developing cancer.
Yeah, I just want to add. So I'm definitely very into the healthy aging. That's my thesis. So I'm the longevity technologies such as a stem cell, actually reprogramming, as well as the regenerating the cell and gene. So those are kind of something I'm very, very into it. But since I just found out we are all female panelists here, so I thought maybe we really need to bring more data and then more solutions for the female cancer, specifically ovarian cancer, breast cancer. I lost my mom with those two cancers. And that's probably the one reason I really want to serve the problem. And especially for the woman, we don't see a lot of data yet. And also how hard to diagnose ovarian cancers. It's almost impossible to find it unless you do biopsy. Actually, of course, like liquid biopsy, we can actually find ovarian cancer with a high sensitivity, high specificity. So I think that's the kind of one area I like to appreciate to help. So if you help a woman, if you make woman healthy, your family is happier.
I also want to quickly add into that another, I won't say it's not happening, it's still happening, but it's really too early on. We're trying to look for an interesting company doing non-invasive surgery for cancer treatment to remove cancer cell, the typical cancer cell removal basically it's a destroy your immune system overall, but there's a new technology to be able to do. Micro-invasive is available already, but how about a non-invasive?
Well, it would be great to hear from Dr. D'Souza and Dr. Shu during the morning networking break, because I believe we have some immunotherapeutics and epigenetic focuses on these cancer, as well as some seasoned investors like Michelle Colucci, who has a large non-invasive testing focus. But finally, it'd be great to hear how seed stage to Series B companies can stay competitive in the current global landscape. We've heard a little bit about high-quality clinical data. We've heard a little bit about leveraging existing data to train AI models that respect HIPAA. And we've heard a little bit about being aware of the social determinants of health, how they might affect inflammation. Could you speak a little bit more about how a successful seed stage to Series B company would be using these topics within their operations or their product to be a really attractive investment to your fund?
Before that, I think it's important to also recognize something that was related to the previous question that we discussed before this panel, and that is like how can you please raise your hand if you had a pap smear before? How many of you love that?
That's right. I think personalization and empowerment of the patient to do it itself for the patient in this case is really important.
So to answer the other question, I think it's important to understand the startups that really assess the needs of the populations that they're working with. And because that gives them a different insight, not only to develop the product or to do the proof of concept, but also that assures that they're going to have a good trial market kit. And also I'm interested in companies that have data, that they are developing for their patient, that they are developing knowing all the hassles and all the full regulations that they need to address in order to have a successful project.
Yeah, and so what I actually asked, it took things. One is a scientific failure. Second, market adoption. That's what I asked. But how I actually measure is when I make a decision comment to it, I actually ask three things: data, traction, and variation. So three I want to talk, and otherwise I wait. So you mentioned the seed and Series A. As a matter of fact, like every industry show different tractions, but I think I value the progress. How you can make progress when we read next time what we will bring, what kind of data we will bring, what kind of traction we will bring, and that's what I actually check him every time. And valuation, of course, that's the time of fundraising event. We will see what kind of value you will bring. Another thing I actually like to talk about what kind of capital efficiency you can actually bring to us. Especially biotech, right now I see it's kind of dark age. Sorry to say that was really hard right now. We haven't seen a meaningful IPO for a while, almost 3 years. So we as you thinking about with the new policies, I think a lot of big pharma will hold off aggressive movement. In that sense, what we really kind of want to see is how you can survive. This is basically capital efficiency. If you maintain the capital efficiency, how you can do the lean kind of operations. And more than anything else, what I like to ask is speed up. So we have one company, everybody will know, very famous company in longevity sector, Insilico. Insilico said, I found DC 5 or 6 diseases within 6 to 18 months using AI technology. Of course, it's only DC. I don't know how much they can actually improve, but still, your computers are moving so fast. So I want you to ensure that you also speed up and then you can read outcome as fast as you can.
And before you move on, it would be great to hear an example of what good quality data means to you, as well as a story of a favorite scrappy entrepreneur who was very capital efficient.
Yeah, so a quality data, the first the one I really like, of course, I want to see the in vivo data. So I think maybe it's me. I think even the small animal data is a little bit kind of fade away nowadays. I did hear a lot of VCs that I don't really trust small mouse data more than before. So unfortunately, but that accurate can do large animal data is super expensive and it takes a long time. But I think, as I mentioned, if we can actually ensure that we using the mini organoid, like you can use it for brain, you can use it for lung, and then you can actually kind of quantify, magnify how much you can actually show that in the real human body. But still, it's still in vitro, as you would know. So actually, you kind of find our analogy how we can actually provide to the is equals to in vivo. If we cannot answer it, maybe I think decreases still. And maybe it can come back later. That's part of the answer you hear. So for me, I like to see vivo. But if you cannot do that, at least you can see by the mini organoid, and if you can provide it, it will be better. And of course, next door could be small animal data.
Yeah, so I think for us, we invest in seed and Series A. So I think early stage expectation from investors is very different from A-round and B-round. So for a lot of the company we invest, they not necessarily have a strong validation yet out, even only preclinical data. And also, of course, a pre-approval. But on the other side, just add on one thing to what I panelists are sharing, it's getting a partnership earlier is better. I know it used to be you can just work on your technology, wait till later, but now this collaboration between the smaller startup and the large corporate is essential. And if you don't try to identify potential partnership early on, a competitor will do. And the challenge is even you have a better technology, as long as they start working together, they're migration costs. So I always just suggest early stage founder, even you said, okay, my product is not ready. We have a company I invested about 10 years ago doing the microfluidic for single cell sequencing. And before they got approval ready, they start to have this service contract with large pharma company, just validate their service. Got a little bit, service revenue, but more importantly, it's some partnership conversation early and also validation of their core technology before approval happens.
Yeah, just a quick remark about that. I was talking with Kaiser Permanente the other day, exactly about that talk. And they told me, we start always with eyeballs. And we don't start like big. We always start with little trials in our hospitals. And sometimes I think founders forget the importance of talking to a large health systems to develop the product. So I think yes.
Well, thank you everyone for hearing our perspectives on digital twins, how to differentiate between precision diagnostics versus preventative diagnostics, and the use of organoids to get you on your path to clinical data. We'd love to hear more from you. We'll all be in the morning networking session, and we look forward to speaking more about your companies, your backgrounds, and your current investing publics. Thank you so much.
Thank you.